Hi everyone, my name is Emma Armin. This is my final project for AOLL 577, my organizational development application example. I have chosen to go through a real world example in my current field to kind of go through what it would look like for my current position. Enjoy. To start, here are my table of contents or what I'll be going through within this presentation. So first we'll be looking at the identification or the need of change and what I feel is the best need for this situation. And the background, the organizational background, what the organization stands for, how the kind of the hierarchy works, and then the problem, the weaknesses and diagnostic or diagnosis of what I feel the problem is, the current state, what is the current state of the organization, how do we operate currently, data collection, what data, how I'll analyze it, what stakeholders need to be involved, the action plan, the high level plan, as well as looking at it through the frames, shared vision or the reason that we're doing all of this, a shared goal, what we're based off as an organization, the steps and actions for intervention and how I believe is the best way to accomplish this. Implementation, I'll be giving the how, why, what, where, and when about this, the barriers and the navigation of these barriers and how to overcome them, and how or what to look for, the evaluation of the results or the success and failures, and how, if we do fail, what to come out of that for the adaptation and the modification or the adjustments. And at the very end, I've decided to add just a little bit of my final thoughts and how this project has helped me kind of bring clarity to some issues that I am seeing. Just to give a little bit of background, I work for TRIO. TRIO is a federal grant that serves all over the United States. Grants are often written through the different universities to serve, and in the universities, the TRIO grant can be spread into different programs, including Upward Bound, Educational Talent Search, McNair, Student Support Services, Upward Bound Math and Science, Veterans Upward Bound, and Educational Opportunity Center. So within the university, the populations that the program serves may be different. So as you look at the screen, TRIO is an overall federal, and then it goes into the state, and then into the universities, and then even within the university, the programs can be different on who they're serving or who they're working with. So for this example, and throughout this presentation, when I refer to a program or programs, I am referring to the University of Idaho Upward Bound programs serving 9th through 12th grade students. The University of Idaho programs are Benawale Taught Upward Bound, STEM Access, and Bridge Idaho, and Silver Valley Upward Bound. The majority of these programs serve low-income first-generation students, 9th to 12th grade. Educational Talent Search also serves 6th to 8th grades in addition to serving high school students. I kind of want to go over the roles of each employee too for some background information for you. So there's the director, and that is the overall flow and decision maker of the grant and what happens, more of the higher decisions and positions within the university. The program directors, these are the ones that plan for the programming. And let me just go over the programming that I am referring to is the events that we take our student participants on, or we create for them to get a better understanding of post-secondary different curriculums. So these program directors are also the grant support. They're usually the ones writing the grant and the communication liaison between the directors and the community outreach coordinators. Then there's the community outreach coordinators. That's the position that I currently am in, and these are the student relations. These are the recruitment or retention on the ground, kind of making all of those decisions about the students in terms of getting them in, making the monthly curriculum for what we're going to be talking about or going over with post-secondary. And I just want to talk about the goal for a minute. So the goal is that the overall goal of TRIO and why it is an organization is to serve low-income first-generation students through recruitment and retention. So if you could just put that into the back of your mind as we're going through all of this, that would be really helpful to understand why I'm feeling like this needs to be a change. The need for change, is a group change. So within the university, it's not an organization change because we're going to be leaving out some of the programs that work with different populations, with different directors, and we're kind of just talking about, again, the upward bound programs that service high school students. And so I kind of want to go over again what the organizational development, and we talked about this earlier in class and it was in one of our readings, is the combination of rules, goals, relationships, and coordination is essential for organizational performance. And I feel like this is needing to be changed to accommodate for this definition. And so there's three different aspects that I think really need to be focused on. So communication, programming, and resources. Communication, just the lack of communication across employees of programs, including scheduling, student relationships, and overall knowledge of over programs. There's this gap between program directors and community outreach members in separate programs. So within a specified program, that's their team, like Silver Valley Upward Bound. I will be referencing that program quite a bit throughout this presentation. They work within themselves, but there's no cross-board communication with other programs. And then there's a communication gap also between just the community outreach members in different programs. So there's no space really for outreach members to collaborate with others to see what the best retention, recruitment strategies are. And then programming, just a lack of programming with other programs for student participation engagement. This usually happens in the summer. Sometimes it's a weekend during the school year or a spring break trip. And just resources in general. There's a lack of resources being shared across programs, leading to this reinventing the wheel that's creating a lot of wasted time and energy when we could already have it and we could focus on creating new things for our students. Getting into the problem in a wider scope or the frames is that in the structural, the organization's roles and responsibilities are not being maximized for to efficiently provide the overall goal. The human resources, the need for new ideas and collaboration is not being met. People are feeling no sense of belonging in their workplace. Political, important decisions are not being asked to the employees that spend the most time reaching the goals, and symbolic. There's really no unified symbol to reach our goal, and I believe that this will happen over time and not something that we can create, but I just wanted you to be aware that this also is lacking in this area. The diagnostic that I have for you is that members of the Trio Inspire North are concerned with the lack of relationships built with other University of Idaho Upward Bound Trio programs. This base will be expanded after evaluating Upward Bound Trio members' opinions on the relationships within the programs. This issue with the lack of relationships may vary due to personal response. So some issues that would included or be asked upon are the communications between different programs, programming ideas, and execution for the students. Some are scheduling for collaboration for students and staff, and the lack of recruitment retention resources being shared. After the collection of the data, a more specified plan can be created depending on the highlighted issues that we kind of talked about. To go over the current state of what the University of Idaho Upward Bound Trio programs is that it's focused on program director collaboration and just director collab. The program directors meet monthly or sometimes weekly with the Trio director. They have communications with regards to logistics, the university responsibilities, and grant-related topics. The program directors are the backbone for the work that community outreach coordinators do, but there are currently no meetings that include all programs with all employees. So for communication, right now there are some group chats being created for summer programming, but summer programming is usually only 1 week in the summer, and it's usually with only one other program. And so there's really no direction or no structure on how to collaborate. It's kind of at your own risk or however you see fit. So really no direction from a higher above position. The data that needs to be collected primarily comes from the program directors and community outreach coordinators. Responses will be analyzed by both individual professionals in separate programs. So for example, Silver Valley Upward Bound has 3 members, 2 community outreach coordinators and 1 director. So each of them will answer a questionnaire separately, and then the 3 of them will get together and answer a questionnaire together. This is important for their opinion on the matter, and it will tell us what kind of direction to follow in terms of what's most specific and most important in the terms of the relationship. Also, summer programming. This will be to look at past summer logs to see if there's a correlation between student involvement and the collaboration of other programs. And then another questionnaire will go out to the student participants. This is our biggest stakeholder. And their insight and perspectives, their wants and needs will tell us kind of how we can improve as the people behind the scenes to make a better experience for them. Next is the action plan. So I'll be talking about the high level plan to improve and the also in addition to the 4 frameworks. So in the cultural action plan is to give personnel the right roles and relationships, change to a more vertical coordination, which I mentioned earlier. It's to give a set role and give the director more precise orders to give to the rest of the employees. The human resource is to allow collaboration space for employees to express their skills or just giving a sense of belonging. And then the political is to give decision power to subjects, the subject matter experts, so the community outreach coordinators to give support through also social media, which will just be a public way of giving that power. And then symbolic is to create a unified symbol to reach their goal. We'll follow federal guidelines. Like I said, this will come with implementing this goal. So our first step is to create an opinion-based questionnaire. There will be 3 of these that I mentioned. The next step is to gather data. The data will show us where to focus our energy. After this, we will add or make a document stating the expectations of the relationships with the programs. This will be signed by the director for all the director programs and community outreach staff to be aware of. The next step is to create a group chat with all the members in a Microsoft Teams. This chat will hold different folders to share recruitment retention information, curriculum use, a calendar of events and summer programming, and information regarding post-secondary education that would be useful for all student participants. Next would be to organize a the initial meeting, and then after the initial meeting, then it'll be to organize a bi-weekly meeting for all directors and community outreach coordinators to attend virtually. These meetings will include talking about month-specific topics that are happening for National Trio and in post-secondary education. Lastly, there will be a constant conversation between the programs for ideas and updates. The reason that we're doing all of this in the shared vision is to serve student participants with the best resources in the most effective manner. And so we want to stop creating the wheel cycle. We want to stop having 3 different people create this cycle. So many times someone in a different program has done something and already has a system for it, but due to the no communication in other programs, the wheel is created again for the same situation. And this leads to just a waste of time instead of adding on new ideas. The goal is that there's some sense of unity for the programs and a sense of team, that there are people to bounce ideas off of and ultimately serve the participants better. Since these programs are grant funded, enrollment must be met each year. This in turn allows for the jobs to be funded and to continue serving in-need populations. This matters to benefit the program's overall goal, that goal being that we're serving with the best resources and the most efficiency. And then the secondary goal is to have some purpose and sense of belonging inside of the workplace. The next, I'm going to talk about the interventions to implement. All of these are supported by the frameworks except for the symbolic, which is not applicable for these types of interventions just because this will be created, like I talked about, with the new and improved structure. But through the structural frame, we're going to be well defining the roles, focusing on a mission, and using a top-down coordination. The human resource, the questionnaires are for employees to express what useful work is to them and how the best way to express their work. And then the political is to advocate resources to divide the power of decision making. And so this will, like we talked about, go to people that are on the ground, work with the students on a regular basis. This will also be that the team will This will be a team building or group intervention through human processes. The intervention will be from the top down to the director, so team members understand the urgency for change. After data is collected, the data will be compiled into a written statement. After this, it will be at the director's management to hold a virtual intervention for all programs. The intervention will include the data, new expectations, and the director's guidance on how to form these relationships. We will need to approach this intervention with fact-based information and the student participants' best interest. Leading up to these interventions, it will be helpful for research and student testimony and coworkers' opinions anonymously to be sent through email by the director just to give a heads up to the employees on what is going to happen and what this conversation will look like. The other interventions will be with the program directors and community outreach coordinators. This will be mediated by the director at a biweekly basis. The directors will send a Zoom meeting to all the members of the program with an agenda to discuss, and the agendas will be based on the data and responses from the program. Some of the physical implementations of this program will be to add these meetings into the employee calendar, scheduling a time for it, the leadership of the director, sending questionnaires out, and going through the data, and then allowing for community outreach coordinators to express wants and needs, as well as the program directors, and also creating agendas for the meeting that are specific and important and pertinent to what's going on in the program's monthly tasks. To move this implementation and transition it from a plan to the execution process is to really get full support from the director and prepare them for what their new role is going to be in kind of mediating this new process and just proceeding full-heartedly with the plan. To talk about the when, why, where, and how, the physical dates and the physical time of when all of this will happen is the start of spring 2024 semesters. Directors will prepare, or the director will prepare employees for what is to come. The questionnaires are created and sent out. Summer of 2024, the data is analyzed for the director to then compile information. And then in fall 2024, the director will send out this information about the new practice, about how the implementation process is going to go. And then the initial meeting is formed and the bi-weekly meetings start. This is because we need time to collect data, and the new school year is always the best time, and it kind of creates a clean slate for TRIO because summer programming takes up the majority of our time in the new recruitment process and APR. It all kind of just shifts. And then where is virtually? These programs are throughout Idaho, so virtually is kind of the only place to have this space. And then how, again, we're really just emphasizing the leadership of the director and the new role that that person will play. There are 3 highlighted barriers that I believe could come up in this process, and that's resistance, communication, and inconsistent support. So resistance is just that the program or a certain program does not see that adding this communication will be beneficial for them, and they like how the things are going now. Communication is just that the expectations aren't clear, and making sure that we're at the forefront of that so that this does not become a barrier. And then the inconsistent support, maybe just different employees are not on the same page about how this is to look or how this is to be ran, and that's kind of why we're leaning so heavily on the director to forefront those expectations in a written document. The different frames that I think I keep highlighting, and the main one that we're really focusing on is the structure and how this is all, we need a clear strategy, and we need to focus on the mission and having well-defined goals for each of the employees to follow and what their role is in building these relationships, and then just really emphasizing this top-down coordination and emphasizing that we're going to kind of transition into this leadership, more structured position. And the other is just also with the political frame, going into this with utilizing the different positions to make decisions about our overall goal, and just making sure that we're putting people in the right positions to give input on how to reach these goals effectively. When we're evaluating the results, and I've listed kind of what framework frame is going to go with each of these, but we're really looking for team collaboration and media posts that tag other programs and similar student participation meetings. Every month there's a meeting with the seniors and the an AOLL meeting, and just making sure those are similar each month to convey the same kind of message, and just that utilizing that group chat for ideas and perspectives and new things that are coming and meetings to attend or webinars to attend. And so we also want to highlight that the recruitment process and retention will be done quicker and more effectively throughout this process, and kind of looking to make sure that those are staying at the forefront of the results. And an unsuccessful attempt at this will be the employees are not attending those biweekly meetings. The media remains the same. Programs still do student programming by themselves or just in their little program, and employees do not know their employees, and employees do not know other employees in different programs. So just kind of creating those personal relationships to add a better professional development for the employees and for the students. After going through all of this observations and evaluations and the whole plan to get to the end of the semester, so end of the first year, after sending out and implementing this process, some ways that we can adapt and modify are sending out another questionnaire to employees for input on this implementation and the new standard, and then we can see what the employees are saying and then justify what kind of adjustments are needed and need to be addressed. And so for the frame, the structural frame is again being highlighted to continue continue in a lateral coordination if this process does not work, and going back to kind of informal meetings and an informal process and more focusing on the human resource frame, which gives us more of focusing on the personal relationships and the meaning of what the work life looks and direction in that. And the specific is again how to or give the employees to express their change on this other questionnaire, see where to go from there, and then why we're doing this is just to improve. So if something is not working, the organization needs to be fluid to adapt to another method or focus more on a different method than what was highlighted originally. My final thoughts for this is just that a relationship and a specific plan will give us efficient goals. And so through learning about the frames and organizational development, I feel like I have a much better understanding of how to actually implement and make this successful. So thank you all for watching and listening, and I hope you enjoy. I'm looking forward to reading and hearing about your guys' examples and looking forward to the comments. Thank you.